Hello everyone, and welcome to Fluent English Journey. I'm really happy that you're here. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a daily English tip. Today, we're going to talk about something very important, an idea that can completely change the way you learn English. Many learners spend years watching random videos, reading difficult articles, or memorizing long vocabulary lists. They spend a lot of time studying, but when they try to speak, they still feel nervous, slow, or unsure of their words. Even after so much effort, they cannot speak confidently in real situations. Why does this happen? It happens because most learners spend too much time on passive learning and not enough time on active learning. Passive learning means activities where you only receive English, like watching videos, listening to podcasts, or reading. These things are helpful because they improve your understanding. But passive activities alone cannot make you fluent. Fluency comes from using English, not just receiving English. Your brain becomes fluent when it gets used to producing English, speaking, forming sentences, expressing ideas, and reacting in real time. If your study routine keeps you silent, then speaking will always feel difficult, no matter how many words you know or how many videos you watch. This is why you must stop studying in a way that only gives you information but does not give you practice. For example, if you understand grammar but never use it in your own sentences, or if you learn new words but never try to speak with them, you will feel stuck. You will know English, but you won't feel comfortable using it. Instead of spending hours memorizing complicated rules, start building fluency with one simple idea at a time. Choose one useful phrase, one sentence pattern, or one topic. Then practice that idea in many ways. Describe a situation. Give an opinion. Explain a problem. Share a feeling. Ask a question. When you repeat this kind of practice, your brain builds strong and automatic connections. Speaking becomes faster, easier, and more natural. Another important idea is this: stop expecting perfection. Many learners are afraid to speak because they think every sentence must be 100% correct. But even native speakers make mistakes every single day. Fluent speakers focus on clarity, flow, and confidence, not on perfection. You will improve much faster if you allow yourself to speak freely, make small mistakes, correct yourself gently, and keep going. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They are a sign of growth. Another common problem is comfort. Many learners stay in a comfortable routine. They watch the same type of videos, read the same kinds of articles, or do exercises that feel easy. But if everything feels familiar, your brain is not growing. To move to higher levels like C1 and C2, you must challenge yourself. You need speaking tasks that force you to think quickly and search for the right words in real time. This kind of practice prepares you for real conversations. When you push yourself outside your comfort zone, you grow. Learning may feel uncomfortable, but this discomfort is a positive sign. It means your brain is learning something new. Another powerful shift is to stop learning random individual words and start learning full sentence structures. For example, I tend to think that. One major issue is that. My impression is that. These structures are like ready-made tools. They help your sentences flow smoothly and make it easy to express opinions or explain ideas. When you repeat these structures many times, you begin thinking directly in English instead of translating from your native language. This is a very important step toward real fluency. Many learners also misunderstand what practice really means. Practice is not repeating a sentence once or twice. Real practice means using a structure again and again in many different situations: formal, casual, emotional, detailed, short, long. You keep the structure, but change the content. This is the same way athletes and musicians train. They repeat the same moves or techniques hundreds of times. Repetition builds speed, confidence, and long-term skill. Another helpful shift is to stop treating English as something separate from your life. Fluency improves faster when English becomes a natural part of your daily activities, interests, challenges, goals, and personality. When English feels meaningful to you, it becomes easier to remember new expressions and use them naturally. You also stay more motivated because you feel the language helping you in real life. And finally, training your speaking muscles is essential. One powerful method for this is shadowing, listening to a speaker and repeating their words almost at the same time. Shadowing improves your pronunciation, rhythm, confidence, and the overall flow of your speech. It helps your mouth and brain move smoothly together. But shadowing alone is not enough to become truly fluent. Shadowing is an excellent starting point, but it is only one part of a complete training system. After you shadow a speaker, you must take the next step and create your own original sentences. A simple 3-step cycle can help you listen, repeat, and produce. First, you listen carefully to a sentence. Then, you repeat it as closely as possible. Finally, you create your own version using the same structure. This 3-step cycle trains your ears to hear English clearly, your mouth to speak smoothly, and your brain to build real fluency. When all 3 work together, your progress becomes faster and more balanced. Another common mistake learners make is expecting fluency to appear suddenly. Many people think that one day they will wake up and finally speak English naturally without any effort. But fluency doesn't appear like magic. It is not something that arrives in one big moment. It grows slowly, step by step, through consistent practice and repeated exposure. Every sentence you speak, every idea you express, every small moment when you push yourself to use English, all of these moments add up. When you understand this, you stop waiting for fluency and start building it. Fluency is something you create, not something you discover. It is also important to stop comparing your progress to the progress of other learners. Each person has a different life, a different background, different opportunities, and a different relationship with English. When you compare yourself to others, you create unnecessary pressure and frustration. This slows down your improvement and makes learning feel stressful. Your only real competition is the person you were yesterday. Another important change you should make is choosing learning methods that match your goals. If your goal is fluency, then you must train in a way that builds fluency. This means practicing with more focus, more intention, and more energy. When you listen, do it with a purpose. When you read, look for ideas and structures, not just single words. When you write, use it as a tool to organize and clarify your thoughts. And when you speak, use it to activate everything you know. All 4 skills, listening, reading, writing, and speaking, work together. When you practice them in a connected way, your communication skills grow stronger and your understanding becomes deeper. You also need to stop using English only when you sit down to study. Instead, try to add short moments of English into your daily routines. These small bursts of natural practice make a huge difference in your fluency. Think in English when planning your day. Describe what you see around you. Explain your decisions to yourself. Ask simple questions in English, even if you are alone. React to small situations using English words. These quick moments train your brain to switch into English automatically. And this automatic switching is one of the most important steps toward real fluency. Another major shift is moving from being a passive learner to becoming a confident communicator. Fluency is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about confidence, the belief that you can express your ideas clearly, even when the topic is difficult or when you feel nervous. When you take control of your learning, choose methods that support your goals, and practice intentionally, you begin improving much faster than you expected. Confidence grows when you use English regularly and trust yourself, even when your sentences are not perfect. When learners try to improve their speaking skills, Many of them believe that learning more and more advanced vocabulary will solve all their problems. But this is rarely true. Most learners already know plenty of words. The real challenge is that they cannot use those words quickly in real conversations. Their vocabulary is there, but it is not active. This happens because their learning is passive. They receive information, but they do not produce it. They memorize new words, but don't train their brain to access the words they already know. If you want to speak fluently, you must activate your vocabulary through real, practical practice. This means speaking often, speaking bravely, and pushing your brain to respond quickly. When you do this consistently, the words you already know become easier to find and more natural to use. If your goal is to speak English at a C1 or C2 level, you need a learning system that forces your brain to use English actively and repeatedly. You cannot reach an advanced level by collecting vocabulary. Long lists of words do not help you form clear, confident sentences in real communication. Instead of memorizing endless individual words, focus on learning useful phrases and sentence structures that help you express complete ideas. These structures give you the tools to speak smoothly, even about complex topics. A powerful way to build fluency is to practice speaking about real, meaningful, or challenging situations in your life. Talk about a problem you recently solved, a belief that matters to you, a decision that changed your life, or an experience that shaped your personality. These meaningful topics force your brain to organize thoughts in English, turning passive knowledge into active skill. This transformation from knowing English to using English is the secret to fluency. Many learners mistakenly believe that fluency comes from memorization. But real fluency comes from transformation. It comes from taking what you learn and turning it into something you can use in conversation. For example, if you learn a structure like, "I would argue that," you should not say it once and then forget about it. Instead, use it to talk about many topics: technology, personal growth, education, social issues, relationships, and anything else you care about. Repetition is not boring, it is a smart strategy. It is how you build confidence, speed, and natural fluency. It builds strong connections in your brain, making the structure automatic and easy to use. When your brain sees the same sentence pattern again and again in many different situations, it becomes much faster at finding it and using it without hesitation. This kind of flexibility is exactly what advanced fluency requires. Fluent speakers are not the people who know the largest number of words. Fluent speakers are the people who can access the words they know quickly and use them smoothly in real conversation. When you repeat the same structure across many topics, you strengthen the pathways in your brain that control speed, clarity, and confidence. Another big problem many learners face is the fear of speaking because they're afraid of making mistakes. This fear slows progress more than anything else. You must understand that mistakes do not damage your English. They actually make it stronger. Mistakes increase your awareness and help your brain remember patterns more deeply. When you speak and notice an error, your brain automatically tries to fix it next time. This natural process is essential if you want to reach an advanced level. If you wait until you feel completely perfect before speaking, that moment will never come. No one feels perfect, not even native speakers. Confidence does not grow from silence. Confidence grows from taking action. Every sentence you try to speak makes you better. Every mistake teaches your brain something useful. This is why fluency belongs to people who practice, not to people who wait. To reach a high level, you must accept that mistakes are a normal, natural, and necessary part of learning. Instead of avoiding them, use them as stepping stones. The more you speak, the more comfortable English becomes. With consistent practice, meaningful topics, and repeated use of strong structures, your English will become more natural, flexible, and confident than you ever imagined. You cannot wait for a perfect moment to start speaking English. That moment will never appear. You must start speaking now, even if you feel shy, nervous, or unsure. Every time you speak, even for a few seconds, you train your brain to become braver, faster, and more flexible. A great way to push yourself is to create small personal speaking challenges. For example, you can try speaking for 2 minutes without stopping. Or you can choose 3 sentence structures you want to master and use all of them to describe a situation. These simple challenges build fluency in a strong and effective way. Many advanced learners also struggle because they only practice English in clean, quiet, perfect environments. Then they expect to speak fluently in real conversations, which are often messy and unpredictable. Real communication is full of surprises. People interrupt each other, change topics quickly, use informal expressions, or speak with strong emotions. To handle this, you must train with natural, unpredictable English. You can watch unscripted interviews, listen to live discussions or debates, join conversation groups, or record yourself reacting to real-life situations. The more you expose yourself to natural English, the more flexible your brain becomes. This flexibility helps you stay calm even when the situation is fast or confusing. It is an essential skill for reaching C1 or C2 fluency. Another powerful shift is to stop treating speaking like a test. Many learners sound robotic or tense because they are afraid of being judged. When you focus too much on avoiding mistakes, you start producing stiff sentences that do not sound like real communication. Instead, try to speak the way people speak in real life. Use natural pauses, natural rhythm, emotion, and your own personality. Fluency is not only about perfect grammar. It is about expressing ideas with clarity, confidence, and individuality. When you speak naturally, your sentences flow more smoothly and sound more fluent because they feel like real conversation, not like something memorized from a book. You also need to remember that fluency requires mental endurance. Many learners can speak well for the first 1 or 2 minutes, but then they start to slow down. Their ideas get stuck, or their vocabulary seems to disappear. This is normal. It simply means you need to strengthen your speaking stamina. Just like physical exercise, your brain needs training to stay active for longer periods of time. You can build this endurance by practicing longer speaking sessions, such as 5-minute monologues or 10-minute discussions. Over time, your ability to speak clearly and confidently for longer periods will grow, and fluent communication will feel much more natural. Fluency is built step by step. It grows through action, experimentation, mistakes, and improvement. When you stop waiting for perfection, when you speak bravely, and when you practice with real-life English, you unlock your true potential. Every time you express an idea, even imperfectly, you move one step closer to the advanced level you want to reach. Many learners notice that they can speak fluently during the first few minutes of a conversation, but then their fluency suddenly drops. Many English learners notice that when they speak for a long time, their sentences become slower, their ideas start to feel unclear, and their confidence begins to disappear. This does not happen because they are bad at English. It happens because they have not trained their mental stamina. Fluency is not only about knowing vocabulary or grammar. It is also about keeping your mind active and steady while speaking for a longer period of time. You can improve this by practicing long speaking sessions. Choose any topic, your day, your plans, your job, a movie, anything, and talk about it for 5 minutes without stopping. It does not matter if you repeat yourself or feel confused. After a few days, increase the time to 7 minutes. Later, try 10 minutes. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to teach your brain how to keep going even when you feel pressure. When you train like this, your speed becomes faster, your ideas become clearer, and your overall communication becomes stronger. Another mistake many learners make is focusing too much on sounding like a native speaker. They try to copy the accent, the tone, or the exact style of native speakers. But this often distracts them from what truly matters. Your goal is not to erase your accent or sound like someone else. Your real goal is to speak clearly, naturally, and confidently. You can learn English rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation while still keeping your own identity. Having an accent does not stop you from being fluent, but hesitation does. When you focus on clarity instead of perfection, your voice becomes more powerful and your communication becomes more effective. English belongs to everyone who uses it. Fluency means expressing your ideas easily, not pretending to be another person. Many learners also stay in their comfort zone. They watch the same easy videos or read the same style of articles again and again because it feels safe. But comfortable learning rarely leads to real improvement. If everything you do is easy, your brain does not grow. Real progress happens when you choose tasks that feel slightly difficult. For example, pick a topic you don't know well, maybe a science idea, a social issue, or a new technology, and try to explain it in simple English. This forces your brain to think deeply, choose the right words, and connect ideas clearly. This kind of challenge improves your fluency far more than repeating the same easy tasks again and again. Another reason people stay stuck is that they study without a plan. They jump from one method to another, watch random videos, or switch between apps without thinking about their real goals. Studying like this creates confusion and slow progress. You need a clear plan that guides your learning step by step. A good plan includes speaking practice, useful sentence structures, meaningful topics, and regular review. When you study with purpose, every minute becomes valuable. Your fluency grows even faster when listening, reading, speaking, and writing work together. For example, listening helps you understand ideas, tone, and natural expression. Reading helps you see new vocabulary and sentence patterns. Speaking helps you activate the language and use it in real time. Writing helps you organize your thoughts and build clarity. When these skills support each other, your progress becomes stable and predictable. It is also important to check your progress regularly. Ask yourself, which sentences can I use easily? Which ones still feel slow or difficult? Which topics can I explain clearly? Which ones confuse me? When you understand your strengths and weaknesses, you can study smarter. You don't waste time guessing. Instead, you focus on exactly what you need to improve. This takes you from confusion to clarity. Many learners also fall into the trap of fake productivity. They take long notes, highlight many words, save difficult vocabulary, or bookmark advanced phrases. These activities look productive, but they do not help you speak. They make you feel busy, but they do not transform your English. Real fluency comes from using the language, not collecting it. Transformation happens when you take something you read, heard, or learned and express it in your own words. You can summarize a video, give your opinion about an article, or explain a new idea you discovered. These activities train your fluency because they force your brain to recall information, organize it, and express it clearly. When you build stamina, focus on clarity, challenge your mind, and follow a solid plan, you create the perfect environment for real fluency to grow. English stops being something you only study. It becomes something you can use with confidence in any situation. This kind of active practice strengthens your memory, improves the flow of your speech, and helps you feel more confident when you use English. Many learners struggle because they believe that fluency is only about speaking quickly. But fluency is not just speed. Real fluency means speaking with control, confidence, and clear understanding. It means sharing your thoughts in a logical way, choosing the right words, and communicating in a natural, comfortable style. To develop real fluency, you should practice expressing opinions, describing your experiences, explaining how things work, and telling stories. These activities train both your thinking and your speaking at the same time. When you combine structure, active practice, meaningful expression, and regular self-evaluation, your fluency grows consistently. You stop feeling lost, and you begin to see real changes in the way you speak. Fluency becomes something you build through daily practice, not something you wait to magically happen. Fluency is not only about correct grammar or correct pronunciation. It also includes the ability to express your emotions, reactions, beliefs, and viewpoints. When you use English to talk about your real feelings, your communication becomes deeper and more natural. You are not just repeating memorized phrases, you are sharing ideas that matter to you. This makes your speech richer, more personal, and more fluent. For example, if something makes you frustrated, try to explain that frustration in English. Describe what happened, why it bothers you, and what you wish could change. If you are excited about a new opportunity, express that excitement. Talk about why it makes you happy and what you hope to experience next. This type of emotional practice develops a deeper level of fluency, often called emotional fluency, which is a key skill for advanced speakers. Another important habit is to stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect class, or the perfect speaking partner. Many learners believe they cannot practice speaking unless they join a group or have someone to talk to. But fluency grows when you create opportunities, not when you wait for them. You can practice anywhere, at any time. You can talk to yourself as you organize your thoughts. You can record a short voice message explaining something you learned today. You can read a paragraph and then restate it in your own words. You can describe a problem you have, a plan you want to make, or a worry on your mind. These small but consistent moments of speaking practice create huge improvements over time because they train your brain to think in English naturally and without hesitation. It is also important not to focus on grammar in isolation. Grammar helps you speak accurately, but grammar alone does not give you fluency. Fluency comes from using grammar in real-life situations. Instead of memorizing long charts or trying to recall every rule, practice grammar by actually speaking. For example, talk about imaginary situations using advanced structures like might have, could have, or should have. Share a past experience using narrative tenses like the past perfect or the past continuous. When you practice grammar in context, your brain learns how to use it naturally. This makes your sentences smoother, clearer, and more confident. Contextual practice also helps you build higher-level fluency because your communication becomes more flexible. You learn how to adjust your sentences based on different situations instead of memorizing fixed patterns. Your ideas flow more easily because you have experience using these forms in real conversations. This is why practicing grammar in real situations is far more powerful than completing isolated exercises. It connects grammar with true communication, which is exactly what advanced learners need. Fluency grows best when emotional expression, active practice, and meaningful grammar use work together. When you express your emotions, your speaking becomes more authentic. When you create daily opportunities to speak, your thinking becomes faster. And when you use grammar naturally in context, your communication becomes more controlled and flexible. Together, these habits create strong, natural, and confident English fluency that lasts. Many learners also make the mistake of depending only on long study sessions. They think that spending many hours studying automatically leads to fluency. While longer sessions can be helpful, the real power comes from short, focused practice every day. Small daily habits are extremely effective because they keep your brain connected to English regularly. For example, you can practice for 3 minutes by describing your thoughts out loud. Spend 5 minutes retelling something you listened to. Use 7 minutes to explain your opinion or imagine a short conversation. These short, repeated speaking exercises slowly build strong fluency. Consistency is the key to long-term language growth because your brain begins to think in English more naturally and automatically. Another common misunderstanding is that fluency requires advanced vocabulary. In reality, Real fluency depends more on precise vocabulary, words that help you express your ideas clearly and accurately rather than difficult or rare vocabulary. You need words that help you describe actions, feelings, opinions, relationships, and processes because these topics appear in almost every conversation. When you use precise vocabulary, your speaking becomes clearer, more confident, and more powerful. Learning collocations, common phrase patterns, and fixed expressions is extremely important for fluency. These natural combinations of words help your sentences flow smoothly and make your English sound more natural. When you use these patterns regularly, your speaking becomes more automatic and less forced. They act like building blocks that help you create clear and natural sentences without stopping to think too much. Many learners feel stuck because they study English in a very passive and comfortable way. They read familiar texts, watch predictable videos, or do exercises that feel easy. While this may feel safe and enjoyable, it does not create real growth. To reach advanced fluency at the C1 or C2 level, you must train your brain to handle more complex ideas. You need to practice thinking about difficult topics, responding to abstract ideas, and discussing subjects that require deeper understanding. For example, you can talk about topics like motivation, personal identity, culture, technology, social change, and personal growth. These subjects push your brain to think at a higher level. They help you organize ideas quickly, choose the right vocabulary, and express complex thoughts clearly. When you regularly practice speaking about challenging topics, even simple topics become easier because your mind becomes used to thinking in English at a deeper level. This style of practice helps you move from passive learning to active communication. Instead of silently absorbing information, you learn to express your thoughts, share opinions, and explain ideas. This strengthens your ability to think and speak spontaneously, which is one of the most important skills for true fluency. Over time, your vocabulary, grammar, and confidence grow together. With consistent practice and intelligent challenges, you begin to speak English faster, more clearly, and with greater ease. As you continue practicing, you will notice that topics that once felt difficult become easier and more automatic. This is a normal and important part of building fluency. When your brain learns how to organize and express ideas quickly, your speaking becomes smoother and more confident. One major mistake many learners make is trying to understand every single word when listening to advanced English. But high-level listening is not about catching every word. It is about understanding the general message. Native speakers often talk fast, use fillers, pause, change direction, or use informal expressions. You do not need to understand every word to follow a conversation. Instead, focus on the main ideas, the context, the tone, and the speaker's intention. When you train your brain to focus on meaning instead of perfection, listening becomes easier, more natural, and less stressful. You gain more confidence because you can still understand the message even if you miss a few words. Another important step is to stop learning English separately from your real life. The most successful learners connect English to their daily experiences, interests, and personal goals. If you enjoy technology, learn about technology in English. If you love psychology, explore that topic in English. If you are excited about business, talk about business ideas in English. When the subject matters to you, the learning becomes meaningful. This emotional connection strengthens your memory, improves your understanding, and builds long-lasting confidence. English becomes a tool to express your thoughts instead of just a school subject. Self-feedback is another powerful technique that many learners ignore. Recording your voice is one of the most effective ways to improve fluency. When you listen to yourself, you notice pronunciation problems, rhythm issues, sentence patterns, and areas that need improvement. This awareness helps you correct your mistakes faster instead of guessing. Start with small exercises. Record a 2-minute summary of something you read or listened to. The next day, record a 3-minute description of a situation or event. Another day, record a 4-minute opinion or explanation. These small recordings become your personal fluency library. You can listen to them later to track your progress, identify your strengths, and notice what still needs improvement. This habit also trains your brain to organize ideas quickly and speak with more confidence. When you combine meaningful topics, short focused practice, and regular self-feedback, you create a powerful and efficient fluency system. Even a few minutes of practice each day helps you think in English more naturally. Over time, these habits create automaticity. Your brain begins to use English without effort. Fluency is not about perfection or memorizing difficult words. It is about expressing your ideas clearly, confidently, and naturally in any situation. When you focus on real ideas, connect English to your life, and use self-feedback responsibly, your progress becomes faster, more enjoyable, and more sustainable. Another common mistake is using too many different English resources at the same time. Some learners read one book, watch many videos, try several apps, and jump between different websites. This constant switching creates confusion and slows down progress. Fluency does not come from touching many resources briefly. It comes from repeating, reviewing, and using a smaller number of high-quality resources deeply and consistently. Choosing just a few good materials helps your brain learn faster and more effectively. Many English learners believe that they must always study something new to improve. But in reality, repetition is one of the most powerful ways to build fluency. When you listen to the same audio several times, each time you notice new details that you did not hear before. When you read the same article more than once, you understand it more deeply and remember it better. When you try to retell what you heard or read in your own words, your speaking becomes stronger and more natural. Practicing the same structures across different topics teaches your brain patterns, and these patterns make fluency easier. This kind of focused repetition helps you grow without feeling overwhelmed by too much new information. Another misunderstanding many learners have is the belief that fluency is a natural talent. Some people think that certain individuals are simply born fluent or gifted with languages. But this is not true. Fluency is not a gift, it is a skill. Every confident speaker you admire started as a beginner. They improved because they practiced regularly and they practiced with intention. They spoke often, they made mistakes, and they learned from those mistakes. You have the same ability. You can reach an advanced level if you focus more on communication than perfection. The more you speak, even if you speak imperfectly, the faster your fluency grows. Every conversation, every recording, and every short practice session trains both your brain and your speaking muscles. A common difficulty learners face is thinking in their native language and then translating everything into English. This translation habit creates hesitation and confusion. True fluency comes when you start thinking directly in English. You don't need to think in full, complex paragraphs immediately. Start small and simple. When you see something interesting, describe it to yourself in English. When something surprises you, react in English in your mind. When you remember a fact or idea, repeat it to yourself in English. These small mental exercises slowly rewire your brain so that English becomes natural. Over time, your thoughts will begin to form in English automatically, and your speaking will become quicker and smoother. You can combine mental practice with speaking practice. For example, after thinking in English, try speaking your thoughts out loud or recording them on your phone. This helps connect your thinking with your speaking. Short, focused practice sessions, just 3 to 5 minutes, are more effective than long sessions done only once in a while. When you practice every day, even for a short time, the progress becomes noticeable. These small daily habits are what build strong, long-lasting fluency. To summarize, Fluency grows through consistency, repetition, active practice, and slowly training your mind to think in English. You don't need hundreds of new resources. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to practice daily with focus and intention. Every small step you take strengthens your fluency and makes English feel more natural. Thinking directly in English is also one of the most important steps toward advanced fluency. When your thoughts come in English, your speech becomes smoother, faster, and more confident. You stop wasting time translating, and you avoid the hesitation that translation creates. Many learners believe that learning English should always feel easy and comfortable. However, real growth happens when you challenge your brain. If you only practice simple tasks, your progress will be slow. To improve, you need a healthy mix of easy and slightly difficult practice. Challenging tasks may feel uncomfortable at first, but they push your brain to work at a higher level. For example, try explaining a complicated topic without preparing. Try describing a problem that does not have a simple answer. Share your opinion about a news story or a social issue. These tasks force you to think clearly, organize your ideas, and choose your words carefully. This type of practice prepares you for real conversations in real-life situations, not just classroom exercises. Difficult tasks help your brain learn how to communicate under pressure, which is an essential skill for advanced fluency. Another challenge many learners face is fear. They feel shy, embarrassed, or worried about making mistakes. This fear stops them from speaking, and when they stop speaking, their fluency cannot grow. But every fluent speaker in the world has gone through the same stage. They all made mistakes. They all repeated themselves. They all felt nervous at times. The only way to overcome the fear is by speaking regularly, even when you do not feel ready. If speaking with others feels too stressful at first, speak alone. Speak while walking, cooking, or doing chores. Explain something you learned. Describe your day. Speaking alone removes pressure and builds confidence. As you slowly grow more comfortable, you can join speaking groups, online conversations, or practice with friends. The important thing is to push yourself gently but consistently. Small regular steps are better than big, occasional efforts. Another reason learners struggle is that they do not review effectively. Many people think that reviewing means repeating something mindlessly. But real review is active. It means thinking about what you learned, recalling it, and using it in a new situation. After listening to a podcast or reading an article, don't just repeat it silently. Instead, try retelling it, explaining it, or applying the ideas to your own life. Instead of repeating something over and over without thinking, a better way to review is to summarize what you learned in your own words. Try explaining the main ideas out loud. Share your opinion about what you learned. Connect the ideas to your personal experiences or situations from your daily life. This kind of active review makes your memory stronger, helps you organize your thoughts, and trains your brain to produce English more automatically. In short, thinking directly in English, challenging yourself with difficult tasks, speaking regularly, and reviewing actively are the key steps to reaching advanced fluency. Fluency does not come from comfort or perfection. It comes from consistent effort, smart challenges, and active practice. When you combine these strategies, your English improves faster, becomes more natural, and allows you to express your ideas clearly, confidently, and fluently in any situation. Many learners believe reviewing means doing the same exercise again and again. But this is not the best method. Real review is about understanding what you learned, recognizing language patterns, and using those patterns in real communication. For example, if you learn a structure like, "It seems to me that," don't just memorize it. Practice using it in many different situations. Use it to share your opinion about a book, a movie, a policy, or a topic you studied. When your brain uses the same structure in many contexts, it learns to connect your thoughts directly to the words you need. This makes your speaking more natural and confident. Another important step is avoiding random vocabulary lists that contain words you will never use. Knowing thousands of difficult words does not make you fluent. What truly matters is using vocabulary that helps you communicate clearly. Focus on functional vocabulary, which includes words and expressions that allow you to give reasons, compare ideas, describe causes and effects, present arguments, express uncertainty, clarify your meaning. These kinds of words help you express yourself in everyday, academic, and professional situations. They are far more useful than rare or overly complex words you may never encounter. A common mistake many learners make is trying to speak too fast. They believe that speaking quickly means being fluent. But this is not true. Fluency is not speed, fluency is clarity. Strong speakers do not rush. They speak at a pace that allows their ideas to develop naturally. They use natural pauses, clear sentence structure, and organized thoughts. Slowing down may feel uncomfortable at first, but it helps you express your ideas more effectively. As your brain becomes more familiar with English, your speed will increase naturally. Speed is a result of fluency, not the cause of it. To become clearer and more organized, practice planning your ideas before you speak. Think about your main point first. Then add a few supporting details or examples. Use connecting words like because, however, for example, and therefore to make your sentences flow smoothly. This helps train your brain to produce clear, well-structured sentences automatically. When you focus on structure first and speed second, your speaking becomes more confident and persuasive. Fluency grows even faster when you connect new language to your daily life. Instead of repeating vocabulary from a list, use new words to talk about your experiences, opinions, or decisions. After learning a new phrase, try using it to describe your day or explain something that happened to you. When you make personal connections, your brain remembers the language more naturally and can use it faster in real conversations. In simple terms, effective reviewing is active, not passive. Use what you learn in many different contexts. Focus on functional vocabulary. Aim for clear speech before fast speech. Connect English to your personal life. When you follow these steps consistently, your fluency becomes stronger, your ideas become more organized, and your confidence grows naturally. Many learners feel frustrated because they make the same mistakes again and again. This usually happens because they do not analyze their mistakes carefully. But mistakes are not something to fear, they are powerful learning tools. If you repeatedly make a grammar mistake, write down a simple explanation for yourself and practice using the correct form in several sentences. If you forget a word often, make a short list of your key vocabulary and use those words in short spoken sentences or paragraphs. If pronunciation is difficult, listen to native speakers closely and repeat the words slowly, focusing on each sound. Mistakes are not failures, they are signals that show what your brain needs to improve. When used correctly, mistakes help you grow faster. Another reason learners struggle is that they only use English for studying. They rarely use English to enjoy something. Fluency grows much faster when English becomes part of your life, not just part of your study routine. Watch videos or interviews that you genuinely enjoy. Listen to documentaries about topics that interest you. Follow English-speaking creators who inspire you. Read articles about your hobbies or explore subjects that you are passionate about. When learning becomes enjoyable, your mind becomes more active and motivated. Enjoyment creates energy, and this energy supports long-term improvement. It is also important to avoid comparing yourself to others. Comparison creates unnecessary pressure and lowers your confidence. Everyone learns at a different pace because people have different backgrounds, experiences, and exposure to English. The only fair comparison is with your past self. Look at how much you have improved in the last few months. Notice how your vocabulary has increased, how your speaking has become more confident, and how your understanding has become stronger. Tracking your personal growth gives you motivation and helps you stay focused. Finally, fluency improves when you combine learning with reflection. After each speaking practice session, whether you speak alone or with others, take a moment to think about what went well and what you want to improve next time. This reflection strengthens your awareness and guides your future practice. After you finish speaking, listening, or writing, take a moment to reflect on your practice. Ask yourself what went well and what needs more attention. For example, if you notice that explaining an idea felt difficult, try expressing it again using different words or easier structures. If a new word or phrase comes out naturally, use it in a few more sentences to make it part of your active vocabulary. Reflection helps you connect learning with real improvement, instead of just repeating things without understanding. It is also helpful to set small, realistic goals. Instead of expecting yourself to become perfect quickly, focus on simple, achievable steps such as recording a 2-minute summary, explaining a short idea, or talking about your opinion for 3 minutes. These small tasks may seem simple, but when you do them consistently, they build real progress over time. The secret is consistent, purposeful effort combined with enjoyment and regular reflection. When you approach English this way, your fluency grows steadily, your confidence increases, and English becomes a natural tool for thinking and expressing yourself. Fluency improves when you use English to solve problems, not just when you study grammar or memorize words. Try describing a situation, identifying the problem, and suggesting a solution. This trains your brain to organize ideas logically and communicate them clearly. You can use real situations from your own life or imagine new ones. For example, you might explain how to improve a service, handle a difficult customer, or make a challenging decision. Problem-solving in English strengthens both your thinking and language skills, making your speech more flexible, natural, and confident. Many learners underestimate how important reading is for fluency. Reading shows you how sentences are formed, how ideas are connected, and how vocabulary is used in real context. It also exposes you to the rhythm and style of English. You can read articles, essays, blogs, stories, or reports about topics that interest you. After reading, summarize the main ideas in your own words either by speaking or writing. This method strengthens fluency because it connects input, what you read, with output, what you produce. Input fills your mind with new language, and output trains your brain to use that language. The more often you practice this cycle, the easier it becomes to express your ideas naturally. Another important point is to stop treating English as something separate from your real life. English is not just a subject, it is a tool for communication. Practice expressing complex ideas in clear, simple language. If you have a complicated thought, try explaining it step by step without losing the meaning. This skill is very useful in school, in your job, and in daily conversations. When you can explain difficult ideas in a clear way, you sound confident and fluent. A common mistake among advanced learners is focusing too much on perfection. Many people believe every sentence must be grammatically perfect and every word must be pronounced flawlessly. This creates stress and hesitation, which actually block fluency. Fluency is not perfection. It is clear and confident communication. Focus on expressing your meaning first. Grammar and pronunciation improve naturally when you use English consistently in real situations. Create opportunities to speak and think in English every day. You don't need a partner or a class. You can talk to yourself about your day, explain an idea you learned, or express your opinion aloud. You can also record your voice, speak while walking, or think in English during daily activities. Small, consistent speaking habits are more effective than long, occasional study sessions because they keep your mind connected to the language every day. Problem solving, active reading, and real communication help you connect your thoughts to English naturally. Over time, you will stop translating in your head and begin thinking directly in English. When thinking and speaking become connected, your fluency improves. Your speech becomes smoother, your ideas become clearer, and you gain more confidence. These strategies also reduce stress and make learning more enjoyable. Fluency is the result of consistent, active practice, not luck or natural talent. When you focus on communication, problem solving, and expressing ideas clearly, English becomes a natural part of your daily life. Fluency is not about being perfect. Even native speakers make mistakes. They are considered fluent because they communicate confidently and clearly, not because they speak without errors. When you stop worrying about every tiny mistake, your speech becomes more natural. Your brain finds words faster and your sentences flow more smoothly. True fluency is built on clarity and confidence. Many learners forget that planning your thoughts is a key part of fluent speaking. When you speak without structure, your sentences may feel disconnected and your ideas may seem unclear. To improve fluency, practice organizing your thoughts before you speak. Use simple structures such as state your main idea, give 2 supporting reasons, end with a short conclusion. This simple planning makes your speech organized, professional, and confident. Over time, you can expand your structure by adding examples, comparisons, personal stories, or explanations. Organized thinking reduces hesitation and gives your brain a clear path to follow, which directly improves fluency. Another challenge many learners face is relying too much on memorized dialogues. Memorizing conversations may help in the beginning, but it does not build real fluency because it trains memory, not thinking. Fluent speakers do not repeat memorized sentences, they create new sentences based on ideas. Fluent speakers create new sentences in every situation. To develop the skill, focus on exercises that require original language production. Describe personal experiences, share opinions, narrate a story, or explain something you learned. Producing your own sentences strengthens brain connections, making it easier to respond naturally and flexibly in conversation. It's also helpful to practice speaking under small amounts of pressure, even if it feels uncomfortable. Try explaining an idea without preparation or describing a problem and suggesting a solution. These exercises push your thinking, encourage active use of English, and over time increase confidence, speed of thought, and natural speech. Short, consistent daily practice is more effective than long, irregular sessions. Even spending 5 minutes retelling a story, sharing your thoughts, or reacting to a situation improves fluency steadily. Micro-practice keeps your brain engaged and strengthens the habit of thinking in English. Fluency grows when you connect language to real-life communication. Focus on expressing ideas, solving problems, describing experiences, and sharing opinions. Use English to explore topics you care about and try to speak as much as possible, even alone. Confidence, clarity, structured thinking, and original language production are the keys to natural, fluent speech. Mistakes are part of the process. They are tools for improvement, not obstacles. Many learners struggle because they focus on one skill at a time instead of combining them. Reading, listening, speaking, and writing should support each other. For example, you can read an article, summarize it aloud, share your opinion, and write a short reflection. This integrated approach connects comprehension, vocabulary, pronunciation, and organization. It stores language in a way that is easy to recall in real conversations. Repetition is another key element. True repetition is deliberate and varied. Seeing a word, phrase, or structure multiple times in different contexts helps your brain store it for automatic use. Make multiple sentences with the same structure, changing topics, tenses, or subjects. For instance, practicing "I believe that" could lead to "I believe that learning English is important," "I believe that this movie was interesting," or "She believes that traveling teaches you a lot." Varied repetition builds creative, natural fluency. Monitoring your progress is essential. Record yourself speaking for 1 or 2 minutes on a topic, then listen carefully for hesitation, mistakes, vocabulary gaps, or unclear ideas. Compare recordings over time to notice improvement in sentences, vocabulary, pronunciation, and confidence. Self-assessment helps you focus on what needs attention and adjust your practice. Integrate English into real-life situations. Solve problems, explain ideas, or share opinions. Describe a challenge, propose a solution, or discuss your perspective on a news story. This approach develops both language skills and critical thinking, making your speech flexible and natural. Reading is a powerful tool for fluency. It exposes you to sentence structures, vocabulary, rhythm, and argument styles. After reading, summarize in your own words or give your opinion. This input-output cycle strengthens your ability to actively use English. Fluency is not memorizing scripts or speaking quickly. Fast speech without clarity causes confusion, while structured, confident speaking communicates ideas effectively. Organize your thoughts, speak clearly, and produce original sentences. Over time, speed will increase naturally as fluency improves. In short, fluency comes from consistent, purposeful, and integrated practice of reading, listening, speaking, and writing. Use varied repetition, track your progress, connect English to real life, and think directly in English. These habits make your language flexible, natural, and confident. Avoid translating from your native language. Start training your mind to think in English for smoother, more fluent speech. Start by thinking and speaking in English, even in small steps. Describe your surroundings, your thoughts, or simple actions. Gradually expand to longer sentences and full paragraphs. Explain ideas to yourself, describe processes, or narrate experiences. This trains your brain to operate in English without translation, making your speech flow naturally and responses faster. Thinking directly in English is a crucial step toward fluency. Practice using English in real contexts. Vocabulary and grammar alone are not enough. You need to use language meaningfully. If your goal is professional fluency, practice giving presentations, explaining work processes, or negotiating. For social fluency, practice sharing opinions, telling stories, or responding naturally in conversations. Using English in relevant contexts strengthens vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and thought patterns, making your speech flexible and confident. Listening is essential, but many learners overlook authentic practice. Slow or simplified English is helpful initially, but to improve, listen to podcasts, interviews, debates, and conversations by native speakers. Focus on main ideas, context, tone, rhythm, and informal expressions rather than every single word. This helps your brain process English naturally and improves both comprehension and speaking. Active speaking practice is equally important. Avoid memorized dialogues or scripted phrases. Fluent speakers produce original sentences based on their thoughts. Describe experiences, give opinions, explain ideas, or narrate events. Creating your own sentences strengthens mental connections, enabling flexible, natural conversation. Integrate all 4 skills: read, listen, speak, and write with purpose. For example, read an article, summarize it aloud, discuss your opinion, and write a reflection. This integrated practice connects comprehension, vocabulary, pronunciation, and organization, making language easier to recall and use. Use repetition strategically. Repeating words or structures only once or twice is not enough. Practice them in different contexts, creating multiple sentences with varied topics, tenses, or subjects. Varied repetition strengthens your ability to use language creatively and automatically. Monitor your progress. Record yourself speaking regularly and compare over time. Track improvements in sentence formation, vocabulary use, clarity, and confidence. Self-awareness ensures purposeful practice and accelerates fluency. Listening carefully and then speaking about it is key. Pay attention not only to words, but also to rhythm, stress, and intonation. Notice common phrases and expressions. After listening, summarize in your own words or share your thoughts. This trains both understanding and production, helping you sound natural and confident. Consistency matters more than long, irregular study sessions. Daily short practice with listening, speaking, reading, and writing is far more effective. Making English a routine helps your brain adapt, making speech easier and more natural over time. Advanced fluency is not about talent or luck. It requires regular, active practice, smart strategies, and connecting language to real-life situations. Avoid passive learning. Focus on producing language, thinking in English, and using it to communicate ideas, solve problems, and express yourself confidently. Passive versus active learning fluency requires more than passive learning like listening, reading, or watching English. While these help with vocabulary, pronunciation, and comprehension, true fluency comes from active output, speaking, writing, summarizing, or explaining what you've learned. Active practice trains your brain to recall words, use grammar correctly, and organize ideas clearly. Balance practice after reading or listening. Summarize in your own words, share opinions, or explain ideas aloud or in writing. These small, consistent actions turn knowledge into usable skills and gradually improve fluency. Short daily practice is more effective than occasional long sessions, as it keeps your brain engaged. Creative use of language fluency also requires creativity. Don't just repeat memorized sentences. Challenge yourself to use familiar words and structures in new ways. Expand simple phrases like, I think that, or it seems to me that, with reasons, examples, or comparisons. Practice applying these phrases to current events, personal experiences, or abstract topics. This flexibility strengthens your brain, builds confidence, and helps you respond naturally in conversations. Exposure to complex ideas. Many learners stick to simple, familiar topics. To reach advanced fluency, you must practice explaining abstract or complex ideas like culture, society, ethics, innovation, motivation, or personal development. Discussing these topics requires advanced vocabulary, logical connections, and clear sentences, improving both thinking and language skills. Over time, simple topics feel effortless and complex topics become manageable. Thinking directly in English translating from your native language slows speech and causes hesitation. Start by thinking in short sentences about daily situations, objects, or feelings. Gradually expand to longer thoughts and more complex ideas. Form sentences in your mind without translating. This trains your brain to operate in English naturally, making conversation smoother and faster. Summary. Advanced fluency develops through consistent active practice, creative language use, exposure to complex ideas, and thinking directly in English. Passive input alone is not enough. Fluency grows when English becomes a tool for thinking, expressing, and responding naturally. Thinking directly in English to speak fluently. Train your brain to think in English rather than translating from your native language. Start with simple observations or reactions. I see a red car, I feel happy today, and gradually expand to longer sentences, stories, or explanations. Ask yourself questions in English and answer them immediately. Over time, this makes speaking faster, smoother, and more confident, and also improves listening comprehension. Active practice and creativity fluency requires regular, active use of English. Summarize what you read or hear, give opinions, and practice new topics. Use familiar words and structures creatively to express ideas in new ways. This trains your brain to respond naturally in unfamiliar situations and strengthens your ability to communicate both simple and complex ideas. Natural speech patterns pay attention to rhythm, stress, and intonation. Shadow native speakers by repeating sentences exactly as spoken, noting pauses and emphasis. This improves pronunciation, fluency, and how natural your English sounds. Feedback and self-monitoring. Regular feedback is essential. Use teachers, language partners, online tools, or self-recording to identify mistakes in grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. Deliberate correction helps your brain learn faster and improves speaking more efficiently. Confidence and practice environment. Confidence is key. Speak regularly even if you make mistakes. Start in safe environments, alone, with a supportive friend, or by recording yourself. Then gradually increase the challenge by joining discussions, online sessions, or debates. Mistakes are learning opportunities, not failures. Summary of strategies. Start small with simple sentences and gradually expand. Think directly in English. Practice actively and creatively. Mimic natural speech patterns, rhythm, stress, intonation. Seek feedback and correct mistakes deliberately. Build confidence through regular practice. When applied consistently, these strategies make English speaking natural, fluent, and expressive, allowing you to communicate clearly in any situation. Fluency is the result of practice, dedication, and smart strategies, not talent or luck. Confidence and fluency. Confidence grows through consistent practice. The more you practice speaking, the less hesitation you feel, and your speech becomes more natural and fluent. Self-directed speaking exercises. Creating your own speaking tasks is highly effective. Start with short exercises. Speak for 1 to 2 minutes about a topic, describe a process, give an opinion, or explain a concept. Gradually increase the time and complexity. These exercises train your brain to organize ideas, retrieve vocabulary quickly, and speak independently, building flexibility and self-confidence. Focus on communication, not perfection. Fluency is about speaking clearly and confidently, not perfectly. Prioritize expressing ideas smoothly rather than correcting every word. Speed and accuracy improve naturally with repetition, familiarity, and meaningful practice. Practice in real contexts. Use English in realistic situations. Describe your day, discuss news or culture, explain a process. Contextual practice links vocabulary, grammar, and ideas, making language a tool for communication rather than just rules to memorize. Key strategies for fluency. Start with short sentences, then expand to longer explanations. Think directly in English. Use self-directed speaking tasks regularly. Focus on clarity and natural pace rather than perfection. Practice in realistic, meaningful contexts. Seek feedback and correct mistakes deliberately. By combining these strategies consistently, you develop the ability to speak smoothly, think quickly, and communicate effectively. Fluency is the result of dedication, consistent effort, and intelligent practice, not innate talent or luck. Every small step in active speaking practice moves you closer to natural, confident, and effortless English.